Hello there and welcome back. In this video we're going to see how to insert data into our Firebase database. And in our last video, if you remember, we saw how to connect a Firebase database into your Android application. And in today's video we're going to see how to insert data into the database that we have already created. Now let's head back to Android Studio, and as you can see, I have already created a layout, a pretty basic one with fields like name, age, etc. You can also see ID that I've given to each one, and I've also do have a submit button down there. This was indeed created using XML, in case if you're still wondering. And this is the Java file. It's called data insert. Right off the bat, we are specifying names for our fields here, very quick, and edit text for fields and button for our button. I'm just providing some names here so that I can use this to refer to our actual layout that I've created earlier. Now you can use a find view by ID function to point each variable to our fields, and just like this. By the way, feel free to pause this video if you want to check out the code. I'm doing it very fast. I hope you can follow along. And now let's create another reference variable here to connect to our database. And you can see, you can use the Firebase database.getInstance.getReference and pass the name of our table, and this is used to refer our database in the Firebase cloud. So the name that you give here will be taken as the name of our tree, or you can also call that as a table. Now let me create another Java class, and this time I'm calling it member since our table name is member. And in here we are going to define our variables and their types so that we can receive values to these variables and send them into our database. Okay, that's very easy. What I'm doing here is that I'm just defining the types of the variables that we are going to use so that I can receive values to these variables and I can send them into the database. Now right click and click on generate a setter and getter. Now why we use setter and getter? This might be one of the questions that you are having right now. Now why we use this, like I said before, we use those functions to send data into our database, and actually we have to obtain the value that we are entering into the fields. So that's what we're exactly doing with setter and getter. We are actually receiving those data that we enter into the layout, and we are receiving them using the setter and getter function, and then we are putting them into the variable that we have already mentioned above, and then we pass them into our real database. That's how this thing is going to work. Now here I'm really creating set on click event listener, so when you click the button, it will send all these data to the variables that I've already mentioned in my other Java file. So like I said before, feel free to pause because I'm doing it very quick for the sake of the length of the video. Just like that. Now let me create a member object, and using that member object I'm going to send each type of data to the variables. Okay, this is very easy. And I'm using push set value and defining our table name, that is the member. So what happens is that when you click the button, and if everything is successful, then it will also show this toast that I'm creating right now, like we did in our last video. Now let me run the emulator, see if my code works. Okay, my system kind of slow, I guess. Okay, now this is our app. Now let me provide some values, blah 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 blah. Now if you check our database in the cloud, that you can see that all those values that I've given are started to appear in our database in the cloud. And this is how it works. Let me provide another one real quick. Okay, you can also see the toast method that I have created. Now okay, if you expand that, you can see the values just like that. Now let me delete these values, and I'll show you another thing in a moment. Let me delete them real quick. This time I'm adding an extra line of code. Let's place a child here and see what happens. Just like that, and I'm going to name that member 1. Let's emulate our code. Okay, okay, now load it up. Oops, let me get back to the emulator. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to put some value in here. Alright, now yeah, you can see that the value started to show up in our cloud, but this time you can see that beneath the member tag there is another tag called member 1, and that's because we added that child in our code right there. Okay, that's for this video. Hope you find it useful, and feel free to ask questions. And also if you like the video, hit that like button, and also do subscribe to my channel, and I really appreciate that. And thank you very much again, and I'll join you later.